Morning.
Good morning.
So, as you know, I like to stand down here when it's my turn to lead the Dharma school talk. So I'm closer to a lot of students and closer to everybody. So today I want to talk a little bit about Renyo. You know who Renyo is? You know much about Renyo. Who's Renyo? Stop using Renyo. Oh yeah. So Renyo is over on that side. So Renyo is on our on the magazine. Do you remember much about who he was? So yeah, I'm totally putting you on the spot. So Renyo was the he was the 8th generation grandson of Shinran. He lived in the 15th century, and he was really important for Jodo Shinshu because before him, Jodo Shinshu was just kind of spread out and diffuse, and it wasn't very organized. It was also a really difficult time in Japan when Renyo lived. There was a lot of war, there was a lot of struggles going on, especially in politics. So Renyo really put Jodo Shinshu on a kind of firm foundation, and he left behind a bunch of letters. And these letters are really important in Jodo Shinshu because he gives a lot of guidance on how Ninbutsu followers should think about their tradition. If you've ever been to a funeral, we read one of his letters at every funeral in Jodo Shinshu. Today, though, I wanted to focus on one kind of theme that shows up in a couple of his letters. So I'm going to read a couple things from his letters, and then I'll try to unpack it, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, Dharma school students. See you over there. See you. We've got a few folks here today. So here's from one of his letters. As for the matter of avoiding things that are impure or inauspicious, it is established that in our tradition, within the Buddha Dharma, we do not regard anything particular as taboo. And then he says some other things. He said, furthermore, we should not criticize others for avoiding things. So avoiding things, what he's talking about here is, in some religious traditions, they teach you to avoid certain things. Like, for example, in Judaism and Islam, one should not eat pork, right? Those are part of that tradition. You shouldn't eat pork. Shouldn't eat shellfish. That's an example of avoiding things. And that's common, it was common in Japanese religions to avoid certain things, foods or certain activities. But in the Jodo Shinshu tradition, that's not part of our tradition. We don't teach like you have to avoid these things, you have to avoid those things, doing these things. There's not a lot of like good and bad luck stuff, right? Like, should you walk under a ladder? No, you shouldn't walk under a ladder because it's not safe. But there's also a belief that it's bad luck. That's not part of Jodo Shinshu. We don't talk about those things. We're in Halloween season, so black cats. Should you avoid black cats?
No.
No. I have a black cat at home. So love the black cats. I grew up with one too. But those kind of beliefs, other people have those beliefs. You may have some of those beliefs. But in this tradition, we don't teach about that. We don't talk about avoiding taboo things or inauspicious things. And we should not criticize others for avoiding things. So Renyo is really, he was living at a time with a lot of religious diversity in Japan. I mean, it was mostly all Buddhism, but it was still very diverse among the world that he lived in. Maybe similar to here in the United States, particularly here in the Puget Sound. There's a fair bit of religious diversity around here. You should not criticize others. So here's another thing that he said, a different letter. Outwardly take the laws of the state as fundamental. Do not hold any of the kami, Buddhas, or bodhisattvas in contempt. Do not slander other sects or teachings. Outwardly obey the laws of the state as fundamental. So be a good citizen, right? We should follow the laws. Don't speed your car. Don't jaywalk. Don't steal. Do not hold any of the kami, Buddhas, or bodhisattvas in contempt. Do not slander other sects or other teachings. So at the time in Japan, right, many people pray to the kami, right, as part of Shinto. Many Buddhists also pray to the kami. There are also other Buddhas, right? Our Buddha, right, Amida is one of the Buddhas, but there is also medicine Buddha, there's other bodhisattvas, there's all kinds of beings even within Buddhism. And so he's like, good, if people want to respect those, that's fine. That's not Jodo Shinshu, but do not slander. other sex has a choice. Okay. Now, why do I bring this up? I'm not bringing this up because I'm suspecting all of you Dharma school students of slandering other teachings, right? I don't think so. You're all good folks. You're all kind people. But this ties into something that Sensei was talking about last year. Do you remember the theme, the large theme for Sensei's Dharma school talks last year? Was it the 6 parameters? Was it the, or was it the 8 noble? I thought it was the Eightfold Path. Was it the 6 parameters? Okay. Shoot. Well, I'm going to talk about the Eightfold Path. Shoot. Okay. And I was here for most of those. All right. Good. I'm 50. This is happening to me now. So one of the Eightfold Path. So the Eightfold Path. I know you've studied it. I saw it on the board. Maybe that's why I was thinking of it. What are some of the limbs of the Eightfold Path? We don't have to get all of them, but do you remember any of them? They all start with right. Right mindfulness. Right speech is totally one of them. Right speech, right mindfulness. I have to work really hard to get all 8 myself, right? And I'm a professor of Buddhism, so good. I just wanted to jog your memories. And 9, right speech is actually what I want to talk about today. So once again, thanks. So right speech in Buddhism is one of the Eightfold Path, right? So the training of classical Buddhism involves working to improve how we behave and think about things in 8 ways. Right speech is one I want to focus on because what Ranyo is telling us is think about right speech. Right? Don't slander other religions, even other kinds of Buddhism. Right? It's wonderful that Ranyo actually says this in a couple other places too in his letters. Don't talk bad about other religions. That's just a good policy. I mean, I think we live in a pluralistic society in the US, and it's a good part of getting along with each other is to not slander. Right speech in this modern age also includes the internet. And I don't play video games, but my nephews play video games, and they're always on the headset while they're playing video games. People say stuff there. Yeah, they say stuff. Stuff which I wouldn't consider right speech. So what is right speech? Right speech are words that you say that are helpful. They could be true and hard to hear. That's okay. But they have to be words that are helpful. So in Buddhism, they often say right speech is marked by a few different things. Is the speech timely? Is it the right time to say that thing? Is the speech helpful? Is the speech self-centered, or is it like others? Are you actually saying something that's trying to help somebody else? We humans are talking animals. We talk a lot. One of the big things that we evolved into doing was talking. And it lets us accomplish so much. Right? Like civilization probably wouldn't have been possible without our ability to talk and communicate. But we can also hurt each other with our words. Now, sometimes we do that unintentionally, and that happens, and we can say, I'm sorry. But sometimes we also use our words in ways that are harmful. Right? We might talk about other people when they're not there. And we might try to talk about things we don't know about, but we're trying to get attention. And that's the internet. A lot of the internet is like that, right? Like people sounding off about stuff they know very little about. We can also make other people get angry, get greedy, and get deluded. Right? So the 5 poisons, or the 3 poisons in Buddhism, right? The gas, greed, anger, stupidity. Our words can exacerbate that in other people. So that's all I really want to talk about today. Is just think about our speech, right? Think about what you're saying. If you find yourself often talking about others, talking badly about one or other people when they're not around, or if you find yourself telling people things that aren't meant to help, right? That are actually kind of mean-spirited, reflect on that, right? Feel how that feels inside. And you can also see how this feels when other people talk to you. When other people start talking about someone who isn't there, how do you feel about that? Like, do you get a clenched feeling inside? Do you feel uncomfortable? Right? That's a clue. Trust that. So as Buddhists, our goal is to reduce the suffering in the world. And that happens every day. Every day. We're at school, we're at work, you know, people talk about other people. And this seems to be my theme today. I had a few things I want to talk about, but it's a place where our speech is really not so obvious to us, right? We want to talk badly about others, sometimes to elevate ourselves, sometimes to make ourselves feel better. So just notice, that's my invitation to you in the week that comes as you're at school, and I also am at school, that's where I work at a school. What do I say that's helpful? What do I say that's actually helping someone else to have less suffering in their life? And at the very base, please don't slander other religious traditions, right? Or other kinds of Buddhism. I think our minister, Reverend Koyama, models this really well. Like when he talks about other kinds of Buddhism, you'll notice he doesn't talk badly about them. When it comes up, he doesn't sow discord in our community about other kinds of Buddhism. He's really good about that because he's a good Jodo Shinshu minister. So I encourage you to do the same. And because this is a Jodo Shinshu temple, I'll tell you the one kind of speech that's always correct is benevolence. This is not something that's going to harm somebody. It's not going to harm you. So I invite you to join me in Kasha. Namo Amida.
Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida.